Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is the first ever video of 2019 and I'm so excited to start this new year on a fresh note. I know the last 2 months I haven't been uploading videos on a regular basis. There were a lot of things that were happening, but going into the new year, I'm going to be extremely regular on this channel and you're going to see 2 videos coming up on this channel every week. I want to start off the video by wishing you all a very happy new year. Hope you have a great year ahead. Now for today's video, I want to talk about a topic that a lot of you requested me to make a video on for the longest time. And even though I really wanted to make a video on this topic, I felt like my knowledge was always a little less than what I wanted it to be. So I ended up reading a lot about minimalism, and that's why in today's video, I'm going to talk about minimalism for the very first time on this channel. The video that I actually have planned for today is 5 simple ways in which you can actually bring minimalism in your life in 2019. But before I actually get into that, I want to take a few seconds and discuss about what minimalism as a concept means to me. Now, minimalism is a global concept, so everybody has different ideas of what minimalism stands for. In this video, I'm going to share with you what minimalism as a concept means to me. Minimalism for me is a global concept. It's a global lifestyle movement that encourages people to live simply, live with less, and find happiness in sources that are not material things. And I think it's a beautiful way of living life because it takes so much pressure away from us to constantly look for things that will actually give us happiness. Instead, we actually end up finding happiness in things that truly mean more to us and truly add value to our lives. This is what minimalism as a concept means to me. A lot of people have very different ideas about it, and everybody has a different way of implementing it in their lives. But I think keeping a definition that's as simple as this makes it easy for us to implement it in our lives. Even though I'm a firm believer of minimalism, I'm sure you would have never seen me call myself a minimalist on this channel. There's a particular reason for that. I feel putting a label like this on me puts a little bit of pressure. It makes me feel like I can't make mistakes again. And that's why even though I'm a firm believer of minimalism, I constantly call myself that and not a minimalist. It just makes things easier for me and allows me to make mistakes, learn from my own mistakes and move on with my life. Putting these titles and tags on me just is too difficult, and I would not recommend it for you guys as well to begin with. Over time, when you follow minimalism for a long time and you know that you're not going to make any more mistakes and you are at a point where you've imbibed that lifestyle completely, maybe at that point it's easier to just call ourselves a minimalist. But for now, let's stick to just being believers of minimalism. So now that I've explained what minimalism means to me, I want to move on to the topic of the video, which is 5 things you can do to make your life a little bit more minimal in 2019. Imbibing minimalism in your lifestyle is not a very difficult thing, and all you have to do is follow these 5 steps, and I'm sure it will really help you in going further along in the journey of accepting minimalism. The first thing you can do is ask yourself 2 questions before buying any new item for your house. Now, every time we go out to a shop or a market, we stumble upon so many different things. There are so many things that catch our attention, and we feel like we need to buy a lot of these things to make ourselves happy. A lot of times, these things are actually genuinely needed in our lives. But more often than not, these things are actually not needed, and our mind is tricking us into doing impulse purchases. To stop this habit of impulse purchasing, there are 2 important questions that you can ask yourself before buying anything. Question number 1 is, do I have place for this in my house? A very simple rule of minimalism is that every single thing that you own should have some kind of space in your house. It should have a particular home that's dedicated just to that particular item. So every time you buy or think of buying a new item, think if you have particular space to keep that item in your house. If the answer to that question is yes, then you can move on to the next question. But if the answer is no, I think you know that this particular item is probably not needed. Or you can always go back, make space for it and come back to buy this item again. If the answer is yes, you can move on to the second question. And this question is, do I have something like this or something that will do the job that this particular item is supposed to do? A lot of times we end up buying things that are duplicates. Maybe you already have a couple of perfume bottles with you. Do you really need to buy that 5th bottle of perfume? Do you really need to invest in 5 more spices when you have a bunch of them lying around in your spice drawer? These are important questions that you need to ask yourself before you end up making any impulse purchase. It will help you in saving a lot of money in one place, but it will also help you go a long way in living a life that is clutter-free. Your home will feel emptier and your mind will be refreshed. The next thing you can do to live a more minimal life in 2019 is to clean out one particular space in your house every single month. And by cleaning out here, I don't mean that just do a basic cleaning routine. I expect you to also do a massive declutter. So open all the drawers that particular space has. Let's say we're talking about your workspace area, or we're talking about your bedside table, or your cupboard for that matter. Just have a look at every single item that is in it and see if every single item that you have there is really needed. Before deciding whether or not to keep any particular item, ask yourself this question: does this item really make me happy? Do I really need this to make my life a little bit more meaningful? And if the answer to that is yes, by all means go ahead and have it. But if the answer to that is no, just make sure that you discard that item and give it away to somebody who would actually find more use out of this item than you would. Every month when you clean out one particular space in your house, by the end of the year, I'm sure you'll have a massively decluttered house that is free of all the items that do not bring joy in your life. The third thing that you can do to live a more minimal life in 2019 is to do a digital declutter once every week. Now, digitally, we are surrounded with so much clutter, and our mind doesn't even recognize that as clutter because it's not physical things. For example, just have a look at your Instagram account or your Facebook page. Look at the kind of people or kind of accounts that you've already followed. Are these really the kind of people or kind of accounts that you want to follow? Are these accounts adding value to your life? If the answer is yes, by all means make sure that you follow them. But again, if the answer is no, I think you'll be better off unfollowing them at the moment. Because a lot of times there is so much information overload that happens in our social media feeds that we constantly feel overburdened and we feel very pressurized by the need to live our life in a different way. Only follow accounts that actually bring joy in your life. Similarly, on your computer itself, on your desktop, do you have too many icons? Does your inbox have too many unread emails? Having this kind of clutter also significantly impacts your productivity and actually makes us feel a lot more pressurized when we actually have to sit down and work. So take some time every week and get rid of all this clutter. Clear out your desktop icons, clear out your mailboxes, and actually unsubscribe to every single email service that sends you unnecessary emails that you actually never end up reading. Digital declutter is just as important as doing any kind of physical declutter in your house because it actually significantly impacts your creativity and productivity. Now, the next tip I have for you to live minimally in 2019 is to find inspiration. Now, all of us need inspiration, let's face it. Inspiration is one of those things that actually keeps us going. And it's important that you find inspiration in sources that teach you about the idea of minimalism. Today, minimalism has become a global movement. There are so many people around the world who talk about their minimal lifestyle. There are a lot of bloggers, there are a lot of Instagram accounts, there are a lot of YouTube channels that constantly talk about living a minimal lifestyle and the benefits they get out of it. At the same time, there are a lot of books as well that talk about the idea of minimalism. I will leave a lot of links in the description box below. These will be resources to places that actually talk about minimalism and have inspired me to live a minimal lifestyle. If you follow them, I'm sure you'll get a lot of ideas on how you can implement the idea of minimalism in your life as well. Maybe over time, you will be able to understand the benefits of it and you will actually want to imbibe this lifestyle completely. But no pressure. Take it at your own pace, understand how people around the world are living and see what are the things that you can implement in your life and take it slow. The last tip I have for you is very important, and it is to forgive and move on and keep learning. If you've just started imbibing the principles of minimalism in your life, there are going to be times when you find it a little difficult to implement everything. There are going to be weak moments where you would probably not want to get rid of something that is probably not of use to you. Or maybe you end up buying something that is probably not needed in your life at the moment. It's completely normal. All of us go through this phase. It's important that you forgive yourself of these smaller mistakes. Otherwise, you will pressurize yourself too much and you will want to give up right in the middle of the journey. So keep forgiving yourself for smaller mistakes that you make early on in the journey and tell yourself that it's fine that you made this mistake. Maybe moving on from the next time, you will not want to make these mistakes again. That's why I started off this video by saying that you don't necessarily have to call yourself a minimalist from day one. You just have to be a believer of minimalism, and over time, when you become accustomed to the idea, you can move on to calling yourself a minimalist. Or maybe you never want to call yourself a minimalist. It's completely fine. It's not a guideline. There are no rules. It's not somebody imposing something on you. It's just something that you want to do with your life to make yourself a little bit more happy and live a little bit more simply. So that's it for today, guys. These were 5 of my very simple tips that will actually help you live a much more minimal lifestyle in 2019. Do let me know if you'd like me to make more videos on minimalism, and I'll be happy to make them in the future. I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye.